ready to go. So, I'm going to be walking through a couple of things, and I apologize for the lag. It's just the way my computer is. I was experimenting the other day, and with help from a couple of people, I figured out how to do the fluting that shows at the bottom of some of the concept art for the towers, and also the arches toward the top. So I'm going to walk through how to do those fairly quickly, and then we can walk through questions or whatnot. I'm going to try and keep the stream to... Sorry, cat is trying to get in my lap, and it's not cat time right now. I'm going to try to keep the stream to just over an hour, so I probably won't get sidetracked too much with questions as they come up, but definitely ask me questions as you have them, and if they're pretty quick to deal with, I will. If not, then I'll make a note and make sure that we talk about it later. Okay, so going to show one of these pieces of concept art from the forums. Desktop. Ta-da! Your Takish statue's coming out cool? I can't wait to see it, Da Vinci. That'll be awesome. So, the fluting is like this piece here. Needs more zoom, Beetle says. More zoom. Bad kitty, go away. So we'll be working on cuts like this. The one that I did has smaller cuts, and I actually like the look of the smaller cuts, so I'll probably stick with that. And then for the arches, it's like what is on the upper parts of these. My little one that I've done so far is a smaller arch, but we'll work on a bigger arch like that and see how it works. So, I'm actually didn't have as much time as I had planned on for getting this set up in advance, so I still need to make the tower pieces that I'm going to be cutting into. So I'm going to run through this part pretty quickly. It's just, if you guys watched Pentapod's stream last week, it's a pretty similar process to what she did. It's the same, I'm working with the same circle set that she used. And my last line that I have in the middle of this serves two purposes for me. First is that it makes it odd, and I decided that I wanted my tower to be an odd width. So that's what that's there for. The other purpose is that it also makes my Beetle distracted me. It's all his fault. It makes it easier for me to find the center point of this. So these are the two pieces that I'm going to use for, I could use the same width for both things. Yeah. I'm not going to fully assemble this because there's not going to be time for that probably, because I take my time about everything that I do. But I am going to take this, so these pieces here are going to be for the top part that'll have this arch in it, and we'll use the same size to work on the bottom part that will have the ribbing in it. And if this lag keeps being as horrible as it is, then I will probably end up turning off the music, because the music is through Twitch, and Twitch makes me laggy when I'm streaming. Probably help if I pause my own stream too. There we go. Okay, so for the fluting piece, I actually want it to be more than 2 thick. So if I come over here, I can show you why. Is it still too quiet, Katavari? So each of these rings is 2 thick. If I take this pink and paint 2 voxels out, there's that ring, and then there's at least 2 more, maybe more. So yeah, there's more than 2 more voxels here. So it's, to get this nice and clean, we need to have at least 6 voxels deep. So So I'm going to make it 8 voxels deep just to be safe. If you can't hear it and it's fine, then I'm just going to turn it off because it'll make me less laggy. And less laggy is fantastic. Exit. There we go. And pull this up. Go to the chat tab so I can see what you guys are saying. I'm just going to narrate everything I'm doing today. You're also kind of hard of hearing. That's okay, so am I. It happens when we get old. Okay. So to make this 4 thick, I'm going to just copy this centerpiece. And no, I'm not. I'm going to come over here and grab other circle bits. So this is the dark purple and the grayish. Dark purple and the grayish. So the 2 inside of that will be these. Sorry, I should have been a little more prepared. I wasn't. Oh well. You guys can just deal with it. Pretty sure this is the right piece. I will stick it in there to make sure. Ah, I selected it poorly. Ah, that's the spot right there. Okay. If you guys want to come and watch in person, you're welcome to do that. And if you do that, it might be good to join the TeamSpeak so that you can hear what I'm saying as I'm saying it. Let's see, can the bot put in commands? Oh, the bot can put in commands. That's amazing. Oops. And if you guys do join the TeamSpeak, the rules on the TeamSpeak server are the same as the rules in my channel, which is basically just be respectful. Don't be a dick. I'm glad I made someone laugh with that. Okay, so here's my centerpiece. Oh, you know what, Abel? I do that all the time. Sometimes I do that, and I also have the correct tab open, so I hear it double, and I keep telling people, you have an echo, you have an echo. Nope, I have an echo. It's all my fault, not your fault. I'm just going to stack this up on the inside. That's far enough for now. No workshop show this week, which really sucks because I was actually going to be able to watch it. Not that I had anything that was far enough along to post on the forums, but I was actually going to be able to watch it live, which I like because I like asking questions and seeing the chat. Okay, so now I'm going to take this piece and mirror it to the other side.
What button do you push for mirror?
The button you push for mirror is V. So Actually, I need to redo that. Anyway, V as in Victor. So when I have it pasted, my paste volume out, if I hit V, it mirrors on the axis that's currently showing. So it's mirroring left to right for me because that's the way the arrows are pointing. Oh, that sucks, Katavari. But they do sometimes give feedback on the forum, so keep an eye there and see. I wouldn't be surprised if, since there's no workshop show this week, Alan or Rosie might go through and put in comments on people's posts. Okay, so I just grabbed my glass texture and I'm going to hit E to go to the fill tool and fill that in. So it's now a solid 4 rings thick, which is actually 8 voxels thick. So I'm going to use the line tool cut. Scroll, scroll, scroll. So much scrolling.
Shift scroll should be like stepped higher.
That's something that should have come up in Let's Talk Landmark.
I just thought of it.
Shift scroll should be like increments of 5 or 10. It'd make this so much easier. So what I have set up here is basically a guide for cutting at various levels. So I'm going to place my line tool in one of these guides that's cut into the floor, and I'm also going to place it up here and line up the bottom with one of the guides that's on the wall. And I think I'm actually going to use this one. And when I put it in there, I'm putting it in there in tweak mode. And then I'm going to slide it up so that the bottom of the line tool lines up with the bottom of the cut in the floor.
Is there an easy way for somebody to get those guides?
An easy way for someone to get the guides that I'm using? This thing?
That's the hard part. Essentially, it looks like it's
Oh,
those guides.
no, that's super easy actually. All I did to get these guides was I actually started with just this piece of the guide and this set of 4 lines here. And I started with that because I put this line tool down and it looked like a cut that I wanted to use. So I started here with this line and this guide up here, and then I just put in some other guides below so that I'd have some other angles that I could cut at. And then as I've been experimenting with things, I put additional cuts in the floor to give me other places to start from and additional lines above or below. So if I start at the very back here and use the bottom line, it gives a really shallow cut. If I start at the front here and use the top line, it gives a really steep cut, but then I have to make sure that my piece that I'm cutting is further in so that I leave at least a few layers at the bottom of the piece that I'm cutting. But it's just something that you need to, if you're going to do this and want to have a setup like this, it helps to give some thought to what angle you want to have your cuts at. At this point, I might use this cut on one thing, but most of my cuts I expect will be more shallow than that if I continue doing the line tool method. I'm going to go back and try the sphere cut method again now that I've seen, crap, I forgot her name. The method that Tenma was learning earlier today. So I put my line tool there and lined it up with the bottom of the guide on that side. And I'm going to come over to this side and control click here and slide this over until it turns green so that I know that it's going to make a perfect line. And then I'm going to slide this up until I'm happy with the angle, or pretty close to happy, with the angle that's being cut on the cylinders. So I'm going to go higher. I'm actually going to line it up with the bottom of the top row. bottom of the top row of the center grouping. Wow. So now looking here, I can make sure that my line tool is perfectly lined up there, so I'm happy. And the reason that I'm making sure that it's lined up nicely here and lined up nicely there is that it gives me a repeatable cut. So I can make sure that I have the same cut on these cylinders as I have on these cylinders. And that way, if I need to go back and redo anything, it's easy for me to redo. So then I'm going to hit F to toggle delete mode and delete. And I'm just going to repeat the same process really quickly on these other two cylinders so that I have them ready when we're ready for that. Slide this up. Make sure that that's actually lined up. I find that I mess up this side of the lining up more often than I mess up the other line. Kitties are being messy and klutzy apparently. I don't even know what's in that. Yes, Zim. Yes, it was a Z name, definitely. Okay, so it's lined up correctly left and right, and if I bring this down, that's perfect. Delete. I'm going to have to check Twitter because I had a conversation with her on Twitter earlier this week when she first figured it out. It's pretty close to Zimma, but it's not. Is she in my friends list? No. Zimnal, that's it. And if you go to her workshop, seeing that stuff in person might actually help quite a bit in understanding what it was they were talking through if you weren't able to be there this morning. I had gone and looked at it and I understood the basics, but there were a couple of things that they talked through that I didn't pick up from looking at what she has in the workshop. So it was definitely useful to see that in person. Okay, so I just copied these out because as I work through each of these pieces, I want to make sure that I'm working with a copy, and if I need to start over, I can do that easily. I'm all about making copies of things and saving copies of things while I build because I'm all about screwing things up also. Okay. I'm going to, for this, stick these right here. And I'm actually going to give myself a little more space around this one. Oh, hi, Zimnal. I did not expect you to be awake this early, or is it late? I expect it's really early. Excellent. Well, I will probably take some time to play with them this evening, and I will definitely let you know if I have any questions. Seeing you walk that through with Tenma earlier definitely helped me understand better what it is that you're working on. Okay, so I forgot to add my glass voxel on the outside of this before I cut it. So hopefully using the fill tool will make that work just fine. No, I can't do it like that. Can't do it like that because it would fill on top of the cut also. I have to do this voxel by voxel at the top. that looks like it's actually working. Awesome. Yay.
Nice.
A meditation plaza. That should be really nice. I like that idea. Yeah, when you cut with the line tool, it doesn't only shape this voxel, it leaves a little bit of information on this side also. So when I put these side by side, oops, fill tool, and use the fill tool in between, well, actually, I take that back. It's not leaving information on this side, but putting the same shape on both sides makes it so that the putty voxel is reading, or the fill tool voxel is reading information from this side and from this side about where it should go, and that's why it's working well.
User joined your channel.
Hello, user. Hi, Jinkies. Sleep well, Zimnal. Thank you for showing everyone that today. That was awesome.
Doing what?
Zimnal, when Tenma was streaming earlier, walked through how to do a different kind of cut on the underside of the towers.
Right.
Which, did you catch that earlier?
I did. I mean, kind of. Sort of. You already do it?
No, I haven't, and I'm probably not going to be doing that today. But if you have time to go back and rewatch what Tenma did, it's fairly straightforward. I will probably be playing with that tonight because I do want to do that on my tower. And so maybe if I find it pretty easy to pick up and decide that I want to use it, maybe I'll walk it through tomorrow or Friday.
Awesome. When are you heading out of town?
I leave town on Sunday morning super early. So I'm streaming tonight. I'm definitely streaming Friday at some point, probably my regular time. And then tomorrow evening and Saturday I'll probably stream a bit, but I'm not sure how much or what time.
Okay.
Okay, so now I have this all painted up, or all in the right shape and ready to be cut. So I'm going to paint it all one color, at least one half of it. And the reason for that is that you get a little bit less voxel distortion when you cut into things that are all painted the same color. I learned this yesterday. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to learn. So I'm going to bring that back just a little bit so that I can keep the glass there and just paint around it, because I do want to know where that center point is. And I just realized I'm doing this a little bit backwards from what I did when I made the piece over there the other day. So let me back up a little bit. I'm going to cut off the top of this. When I started with the cut on this first out of habit, because I've worked on these pieces of a tower so many times that I'm in the habit of cutting and then trying to figure out what I'm doing with it. But when I did this piece over here, I cut the fluting into it before I did the line tool cut. And that makes the top of the fluting pretty clean because the line tool will cut it nice and evenly. So I'm going to remove voxels here so I have a nice flat piece to work with. And that will be much easier. So I'm going to use this pegboard. It's one of the starter boards. It's named Starter Pillars or something along those lines. Let me pull it up. Yeah, Starter Pillars. And I'm going to use a few different pieces of it. Actually, it's pretty much this bottom row I'm going to be using. So I'm going to actually just cut this or copy this out and flip it so that it's vertical, because I need them to be vertical for my cuts. And if you guys have been around for a long time, you might recognize this. I'm pretty sure it's the pegboard that Tenma made during the Ogre workshop. I mean, not the Ogre, the Karen workshop. So
I use it all the time.
this was actually my first time using it, and now I really, really appreciate it. So I'm just going to take a peg out of there, and I'm starting with that middle one because it's kind of the middle of the pieces that I used before for cutting. I used these three.
Yay.
Thanks for following, Yarnilla. Used these three for cuts, and I used these two to pull pieces out. So I'll show you what I mean as I work through this. So I just copied that one, and I'm going to line it up so that it's partially embedded in the voxels, in the in my cylinder thingy. And I don't want to go beyond halfway embedded, so I think that looks good. And then I'll hit F to toggle delete mode, or you can use just remove voxels. But I'm going to hit F because I don't want to default remove voxels. And that looks pretty good. It's nice and crisp on the edge and fairly clean on the inside. So as much as this works, I'm going to do that around the outside of this. Now I might come to a point like this one where pushing it in goes a little more than halfway maybe, and I do want a smaller gap between the pieces, so maybe like this. It's a little bit of playing with it to see how it works, and I'm actually going to use this one.
You already go over how to make those arches and round towers?
I did not. That's actually going to be the next thing. So I'm doing this bottom piece here first with the fluting in it, and then I'll be doing the arch next. The arch is a lot easier than it looks, which I was really, really pleased when I learned that. I'm terrible and I don't remember the name of the person who showed me that, but it's way easier than it looks. I'm sure Katavari could have showed me that too, but he didn't. Someone beat him to it. Remove voxels. Okay, so I'm just going to continue this around to my glass. And the reason I'm going to continue to the glass is then I can mirror and paste and stuff. There's no point in doing everything 3 times if I don't need to. So I'm going to go back to this smaller one because hopefully it'll work well at this point. And actually, to tell you the truth, I don't need to go all the way around. I can use my selection tool to mark the middle. So this is the middle of my selection. So I'm just going to stick a voxel there for now while I get something to paint it with. Then I'll undo. Oops. Hit the wrong buttons because I'm good at that. And paint this with glass so that now I know where the center of my quarter is. So if I do just this 1/8 and get to here and am able to center one of my cuts on this one, then I can mirror and rotate to do this portion as well. It looks like you used a very similar technique to what this guy was showing me the other day, from what I saw earlier, Katavari. So I'm going to try this one again. It looks like I'm not going to be able to center a cut right on that glass spot, but that's okay.
Katavari, I was most interested in how you did the one that, you know, the north, south, east, and west ones are obviously easy. 5-degree angle.
You're cutting in and out again, Jinkies.
Sorry, my microphone slipped down.
Oh.
I said the arches that are north, south, east, and west, you know, obviously look good and are probably the easiest ones to make. The ones I was interested in, the ones that were more, you know, going around the circle, that aren't in the north, south, east, and west position. They looked really good.
Yeah.
And those circular cuts, you know, the off-axis cuts look good. And, you know, I've been trying to do a couple things in my build that I'm working on. I haven't had much success with it, so I was how it was done.
Yeah, we'll definitely go over that in a little bit. So I'm going to use this guy. Actually, I don't like that last cut that I did, so I'm going to undo that and use a bigger piece to cut it. Thanks, Beetle. It's good enough. I don't need perfection. It's just the technique that we're going over. I'm actually going to continue cutting all the way around to here because I don't like where this is going to stop. So, and it doesn't have to be completely even. I actually made several pieces of my test over on the side uneven, and I like the way it turned out. So I'm going to continue that here. That's too far in. Right there. Okay, so I'm going to go down to another size again. That's exactly the way that I did it, Katavari. That's too far in. I'm going to go down to the smaller one now. It's a whole lot of playing with it and seeing what works based upon the position that you're at on the circle. But like I said, once you get a quarter of the way around, if you get to your quarter mark where you have a good, I think it's partially because of my last cut, where you have a good repeatable pattern, so your quarter mark is the center of a cut or between cuts, then you can mirror and save yourself some work on the other pieces. That should work. Yeah, that'll be good, I think. Now before I go too much further, I know this is really ugly. Let me turn on my light since it's getting a little dark. It's really ugly right now. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, take this piece, which I like because this voxel here on the edge is a slightly stretched voxel. This is just one piece here that's painted and it's pulled out a little bit from the center of the voxel, or from the edge of the voxel. So I can use this to push in a little bit. And this one is again one voxel that's painted and it's in the center of a voxel. So I can use this one to pull out a little bit. So depending upon how I need to adjust the edges of these to keep it kind of spherical or cylindrical, but also make it clean and sharp, I can choose which of these pillars I want to use. I'm going to actually use this one this time. And now, since it's getting dark, I am going to toggle delete mode, so it's easier to see the tool. And if I apply this right now, it pulls those voxels out a little bit toward the tool, or toward my delete volume. So if I adjust the position of that a little bit and do it again, it changes it a little bit. So again, it's playing with it a bit to see what works well. I think I'll probably, for that one, end up using the other one. This one, however, works really well with that piece. So here I have a nice sharp edge coming out from my cut. It doesn't have to be a sharp edge though. Most of the edges that I got on the piece that I did before aren't that sharp. They're more blunt. So if I take this piece and pull it out a little bit, Now this time I need it to be touching because, and I'm not going to like this, I think, because of the way that the, nope, didn't like that cut. The way that the voxel at the edge of this cylinder is, it's not going to pull things out, it's going to push things in. That I do like though, because that flattens it out and it keeps it kind of in line with the outside of the cylinder. That I like also. Excellent. Okay, so that's the basic premise of what we're doing. Either making it sharp or making it blunt like that, but making it so it looks kind of gear-like. But I suppose not too gear-like because they want it to look magical and not mechanical. So I'm just going to continue this the rest of the way around. I want a bigger gap between this one. That'll work. Oops. Okay. And of course I'm in the deciduous biome, which means that my add tool at night turns all sorts of weird colors. That I think will work for this one. So delete. I don't like that because it makes it flat but not lined up with the outside of the cylinder. So if I move it over a little bit more, do it again, that I like better. Okay, so now I'm down to the point where I need to figure out what I'm doing with these two pieces where the quarter ends. I think I'm going to just try to center a cut right on that, which means I probably am going to need a bigger cylinder, or a bigger pig. Yeah, I don't like that. That's too much gap between them. So I'm actually going to use this for a cut. Now it's totally okay that this is all messy on the bottom because I'm just going to cut out a middle piece of this and stack it on itself when I'm done with the cutting and the mirroring and all of that, and then we'll have a nice clean piece to use going forward. It still seems like too big of a gap, but maybe I can make it work if I pull it out a little bit. Actually, this is not the right cylinder to be using for pulling it out. I need this cylinder for pulling it out. Any questions so far? You guys are all very, very quiet. Either that or my chat stopped updating. One or the other.
Hey, so I thought Draco made starter templates, a bunch of different people.
A bunch of people were involved in making the starter templates, but I'm pretty sure that this one was made by Tenma originally. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to use the same one to do a cut over here. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? That depends. I don't know what it depends upon, but it definitely depends. Is it rainy? Is it hot? How big are the woodchuck's arms? How old is the woodchuck? How experienced is the woodchuck at chucking wood? Got to give me a full picture if I'm going to answer a question for you, Katavari. I'm going to make that one a shallow cut. I like that. Good question, D-Man. Oh yeah, is it burled wood? That's a good question as well. A woodchuck would chuck all the wood if it could. I like that answer. Okay. So now I have decent cuts all the way around this thing. Some of them are sharp, some of them are blunt. And now that I'm looking at it, having two sharp ones next to each other and blunt-ish ones everywhere else, I don't really like. So I'm going to try to redo these two sharp ones. Thanks for stopping by, Xena. See you later. D-Man says, get an army of beavers, it's faster. Okay, so to fix this, there are a few things I can do. But what I am going to do is add voxels. This is a really odd spot. I'll add voxels there with my fill tool. Oh, it probably helps if I use the right texture. Probably helps if I still undo and use the fill tool. There we go. Let's see if this works. Looks like maybe no. Nope, I'm not liking that. I'll keep it pointy. What's the airspeed of an unladen swallow? Of a coconut-laden swallow. Wow, I totally misread that the first time. I'm sure you're used to that. It depends, African or European. D-Man says, trust me, I'm from Canada, beavers are faster. Alright, D-Man, I totally trust you.
Monty Python, Mirren.
I know. That's why I said African or European. But I don't remember the rest of the conversation, so that's about where my knowledge ends on that one.
Question never got answered in them.
Well, that must be why I don't remember. I had friends when I was in high school who were obsessed with Monty Python, and made me never ever want to watch it because they were so obsessed with it. Oops, I did this wrong because I did not copy this glass piece. Okay, so I should probably talk this through better while I'm doing this. So I'm copying from the center of one side to the center of the other side to get a full quarter, including my center marker. And I'm going to select the whole thing really well. And then I'm going to not rotate. That's what I did wrong last time. I'm going to mirror and then embed this in what's already there and paste with air. The reason I'm mirroring is to make sure that that center point where the glass marker is here lines up really nicely, because I made sure that my cylinder cut that I did in there lined up really well with the center. So if I paste now with air, it didn't change this much, and all of this looks pretty nice. So then I'm going to do the same thing again, selecting the entire half from the glass center marker all the way over to get the entire stucco or plaster or whatever the hell that is half. And then I'm going to mirror again for the same reason and embed it. That looks good, and paste with air. Okay, so now the entire thing is painted like that. Let me read chat because I got a little bit behind. See you later, Xena. Oh wait, I already read that part. It totally looked like a lot of chat happened, but it was only 3 lines. Hi, baby cannon. Pardon you what? I missed what I was pardoning. Cadavari doesn't know what kind of swallow it is. And woodchucks suck. Interesting. I did not know that woodchucks suck. I don't know much about woodchucks, though. So, of course, I wouldn't know that woodchucks suck. Alright, so I'm going to copy out the center of this. And stack it up. Now it just looks like some sort of funky, messy gear. But once I stack it, baby cannon. Oh, thank you. I needed that.
Cats kill woodchucks, Mirren?
What was that?
Your cats kill woodchucks?
No, no. My cats are indoor cats only. I don't even woodchucks in my area. We definitely have beavers, mountain beavers, which are really funny looking. But not woodchucks, I think. Okay, copy from there to there. Now I'm just going to select the whole thing. Paint it all plaster now that I'm done knowing where my center point is. No, actually I take it back. I do still need my center point. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, come over here, and delete this piece, which this is essentially the same piece that we're working with now. I have a copy of it over on the side, so I don't need it. And I do need this space, so deleting that. And I'm going to take my cylinder that we just made with all the geared notches in it and line it up to this purple line. The reason I'm lining it up to the purple line is because that's the center, or not the center, but that's the marker for the center of what the pieces that I've been cutting. And I'm lining the glass line in this gear up with that center point. I think that's the glass line. I might need to do this again. Oh, I'm off by 1. Nope, I'm not off by 1. Perfect. Okay. So now I have it lined up perfectly. I want to move it over a couple voxels to make sure that I'm not interfering with the piece next to it. And done. Okay. So now I'm going to take my line tool and do the same thing that we did before. Make it really, 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 really big. I'm guessing if she was overawed, she's talking about your claim, D-Man. Your pets are amazing. Yeah, my place is not always neat and tidy. I actually spent some time cleaning up when I got home so that I had room to do this. And like I did before with the cut, I'm going to line it up, turn off delete mode so I can make sure that it's nice and clean, and line it up with the bottom of this guideline. And I need to bring it down a little bit. There we go, perfect. Toggle delete mode, and check. So that cut the cylinder nice and clean, even with all of those weird shapes that we made using the pillars to cut it. Now, because I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time painting this, I'm just going to paint the entire thing gold. The piece that I did the other day, I just painted the outer edges so that it was like 6 voxels deep and wouldn't have any LOD issues because of texture changes. But I'm just going to go directly to Takish Gold. And did I miss any? Nope. Those are all outside the box, but they're all stretched, so it's all good. All right, so we have our geared cylinder. I'm going to come over here to do this piece because I have a lot of space here. And I need to make sure I'm not under that. Okay. So we have our geared piece. I'm going to lift that up into the sky a little bit. And I'm going to stack it a couple of times to make sure that we have ample space. And I just realized that I might have cut the wrong size piece to go around the outside of this. So I need to go over and inspect what I did the other day. Okay, so I have 2 voxel deep thing going around that. Alright, so let's give this piece a try. This is cut so that it would go directly on the outside of this. And I think since I just did cuts, I didn't do any additive pieces, this should fit. If it doesn't, then I'll take the ring that's this size and cut it to the same angle and put that on there. I didn't really need to do the angled cut at the top of the gears. I'm just going to call it gears because it's the easiest. I need to paint this also. I think I'll paint it with that texture. Do I have a pellet in the floor still? I had a pellet in the floor here somewhere, but apparently I've buried it. Yeah. Grab that texture. No, take it back. Start here. Paint that. Take it over here. And then paint it with the ornate. And I'm going to take 3 voxels off the bottom and 3 off the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Copy. And I'm just going to embed this in the middle of that so that it'll have essentially a 3 voxel gold trim on the top and 3 voxel gold trim on the bottom and be ornate gold in the middle. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Paste. Oops. Paste without air. Did I not grab the whole thing? I did, okay. There.
I might have missed it, Mirren, but I know you're making a bunch of Takish shapes and things. Do you know what you're going to build yet out of everything? I'm
planning to build a really, really big observatory, but my plan might change over time. I'm not really sure. I tend to change plans as I'm building things. It starts off in my mind as one thing, and then I realize that it should be something else. So we'll see. Yeah, this cut is not going to work here because it overlaps too much. So if I put this down, it will warp all of that, and I don't like that. So undo that. Yeah, Katavari, my dome is 167 at the top. I'm going to undo a few steps here. Okay. Keep that. I mean, not at the top. The bottom of my dome is 167 voxels, and if I continue using that, which is my plan, then it'll be bigger than yours. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. I'm not sure it'll be as cool as yours because I really like the gold trim that you have on your dome. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Oh, I forgot to go back to my, hey, you can see my face again. Woo! I forgot to change that after I showed you the concept art that I was looking at. Okay, so back over here. And if I recall correctly, it's this one that we need. But I'm not sure I recall correctly, so I'm going to grab all of these and bring them over there and measure them to make sure I'm going to use the right one. Ah, I'm running into pieces. Did I undo? Oh no, I did not. Okay. This is why I'm confused. Sorry guys, I am on a serious lack of sleep from last night, so I'm being a slightly more stupid than usual. Just slightly. Okay, so I'm going to line this up and see if I can find the right point, or the right sphere to use for this. Or the other way that I could do this is to actually measure it. Okay. I know that it's this size. I'm going to measure that one, and then I'll be good. $19. Okay, so I need 23. 2 steps up from 19 anyway. So this one I think is 19. Oh, that one's 23. This one's 19? 21? Okay, that one's 19. See. This is the one I need. And I'm just going to make it one thick for, or one ring thick, which is 2 voxels thick, in the interest of time. So that I can get to the other thing that I planned on doing before I go, I'm too tired. Okay. So, very quickly, I'm going to do this. Thanks, Beetle, for the vote of confidence. You're awesome. And I'm not just saying that because you're my hubby. You are awesome. Okay, so add tool, toggle tiny, no coffee, bad Cadavari. Okay, so now I remembered to put my end pieces on, which will make life easier after I cut to put it all together. So I won't have to repeat that annoyingness like I did before. And like I will need to do again. Mild black tea with rose petals in it. That sounds lovely, but it has caffeine, so no, thank you.
It looks like, well, at least for me, stream just went offline.
My stream went offline? What?
Could be me.
Beetle's seeing the same thing.
Nope, it's me. I just refreshed and it was. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Beetle's refreshing and it's good for him too. Awesome. And Cadavari says it's still good for him, so yay! You're not alone. D-Man had a hiccup too. Which means it's probably Twitch's fault.
I'm looking at it on the iPad on my app, and it's go buggy sometimes.
Yeah. Beetle's on his computer, but when I'm streaming, I'm hogging bad bandwidth also, so it could have been that we just have too much going on, maybe. On our end, anyway, for the reason he was buffering. Organic tart cherry juice, about an hour before normal bedtime. Really? Does that help sleep? I've never heard that before, Firefly. Stream is on. Awesome. I'm glad you're back, D-Man. You didn't miss much. I was just finishing stacking that up. Lining that up and then lining it up here. And then going over here and moving it down and check. Oh, so this is what it looks like when you make a giant line out of glass. Because I forgot to toggle delete mode. Undo. Try again. Fail. Check. I didn't go away. Toggle delete mode. Check. Woo! I didn't make a giant line of glass that time. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is the exact same thing I did before, so I'm going to move kind of quick. I'm going to take this, copy the whole thing, come over here, paste it down, paint the whole thing gold. No. What order do I want to do this in? Yes, paint the whole thing gold. Then come back over here. Select all but the bottom 6 voxels of this guy. One, two, three, four, five, 6. Grab ornate gold. Interesting. That's good to know, Firefly. I will pick up some cherries tomorrow, or some cherry juice. One, two, three. Beautiful. Okay. So now we should be set to take this copy the whole thing, mirror it, adjust it so that just one voxel of it overlaps on that spot right there. Now when I paste it down, it will be perfect. Yay! Well, as perfect as wrinkly voxels can be, because I'm not worried about wrinkly voxels right now. And move that, and move it that way and then slide it down. And I want to make sure that there's a little bit of buffer all the way around. And it
User joined
looks
your
like that is probably good. Hello, Draco.
Hello. Playing landmark.
Playing landmark. Given a tutorial. And paste that in place. And that's good. So now, from the outside, it just looks like that section of the tower is over the geary section. And from up here, if I were doing this for real, I would have another layer in here that goes up and butts up against the gears so that it's nice and clean when you look up it and you're not seeing a lot of open space. But that's how I would do that. Any questions before I move on to the arches in the cylinders? I'll do some cleanup while you guys type if you have questions. Uranilla, your sphere isn't working right. I haven't tried that technique yet, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. Why is the sky blue? I'm not going to tell you that, Katavari. You can figure that out for yourself. Because unicorn, pink, and purple were taken. I like that. And I'm going to clean up this piece too. Because science. Bingo, baby cannon wins. Okay, so the next piece is actually going to be a lot quicker to walk through than that was. Delete that. Okay, so I have the two pieces over here that I pre-cut. And I'm not going to make a complete cylinder like I did over there. I'm just going to work with the half cylinder. So to start with, I'm going to work with the outside piece. I'm going to take this whole thing. But, why are you butting, Firefly? The inside is a little bit off. That sucks, Yarnilla. Oh, you're just being a butt. I see. Okay, so I'm just going to stack this up a bit so that we have some height to work with, because that part of the tower would end up being pretty tall. And this is a lot smaller than on the top of my tower will be, but I can imagine that some people will make them about this size at the top. Be an interesting viewing platform for looking down below or that sort of thing. And then drag this over. I'm going to paint the entire thing one color, because it will make my cuts come out a little bit cleaner. And I'll use that again. So, where I start is with a sphere delete tool. Get this down to about a decent size. And again, the sphere tool that I'm going to work with is a lot smaller than what I'll use in my actual tower, but it will work on this just fine. Do 17, that sounds lovely. And I'm going to take this and embed it into the wall so that it's centered, so that the selection arrows are as centered as I can get them in the wall. And then I'll bring it down so that it has several voxels above it. and then delete. Then I'm going to take a different color, find the center of the sphere, and paint it with that color that I grabbed, so that I can see exactly where it is. And then I'm going to copy that row out, grab a couple voxels on either side of it. And I'm going to stack that up, a few tall. And use the line tool on the top and the bottom to make it nice and clean. I'm going to copy this and put it up in the air so I can easily see the bottom, because that'll make my life easier. Okay, so now having done the line tool on the top and the bottom, it'll make it cleaner to use when I put it back in. So I'm going to use this and grab air voxels in front of it. Try not to grab air voxels behind it. And then embed it so that the top of it is right where the piece that I grabbed came from. And I'm having depth perception issues. This is awesome. Okay. That looks right. Push that in there. One more. There. Okay, so now when I paste it, I'm going to paste with air. So the reason I'm pasting with air is that it cleans out the voxels right in front of it, and it brings this down nice and clean for the most part. I'm going to have a little bit of work right there to clean this voxel up. It's an irritable. Okay, and then on the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Bring my selection over. Paint that piece. Wow, that side is much cleaner. Copy these voxels. Go back a little bit further, make sure I get the whole thing. And repeat the process. And this time I'm pasting on top instead of on the bottom, but it's basically the same thing. There's no reason that I'm pasting on the top, it's just what I chose to do this time. And again, I'm going to grab extra air voxels in front. And paste it so that the top aligns with the piece that I copied from. Close. That's better. Paste. Okay, so now that I have both of those pieces in there, I'm going to grab all the way across, all the way down into the area where I cleared out voxels, and use that to clear up the rest of this. And just keep dragging it down and pasting. And that's interesting. I'm not sure why that's not completely clearing up. I think there's a problem with sometimes the game not wanting to paste error, but I haven't been able to determine why it happens to me, and that's not working right. So, I'm not sure what's going wrong here, but up until this point you can see it gives a fairly clean arch. And if I just call this the bottom of what I'm working on, I can go back over to this piece. Make some edging. Move this up a bit. I'm going to take 5 voxels and delete mode. So now I have, I didn't grab the whole thing. Try again. Okay. Paste, mirror, paste, move it up, delete. I actually need to do one less voxel because I didn't grab enough to have it 5 thick. That's better. Okay, so now I'm going to copy this entire piece. And also paint that white to match. And I'm going to do 2 pieces with this, or 2 things with this. I'm going to first use it to clean up the bottom, and hopefully those voxels that didn't want to delete with my other selection will go away. If not, then I'll clean them up manually before I paste this in. I'll slide this all the way down to the bottom, remove voxels, and just slide this all the way up until I'm at the point where I want to keep voxels. That's better. While I'm here, of the prop flowers that we have, what would be Takish? You know, that's a good question, Da Vinci. They would all be Takish, though. Because the Takish, they said on the workshop that the Takish lived everywhere and would have found beauty in or would have used the beautiful things around them, no matter what. I just did that wrong. Sorry, let me repeat this selection and then I'll paste this in. No matter what biome it was from, they would use it. So my guess is that they would have used all of the glowy flowers. They would have used the flowers that attracted butterflies, and probably not the flowers that attract flies. and anything that enhances the beauty of what you're putting it with. So if you're making a gold statue of a elf woman, then something that would reflect well off the gold or something along those lines would probably be good. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the bottom trim. There's a couple of pieces here that would need a little bit of attention. So like these voxels right here will need a little bit of cleaning up, and these voxels right here will need a bit of cleaning up. But if I paint this the gold, it'll be a little bit wrinkly on that angled curve at the bottom, but otherwise it looks pretty good. Let me turn my light on so you can see a little bit better. Maybe I should turn my other light on also. Oh, and there's that one little piece this one piece right here, that I'm not sure why it was weird. Let me see if I can just delete that one voxel. Not quite smooth. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. And that's a pretty big cut for the size of cylinder that I'm on. But it actually is on par with the size of the cuts in the concept art. So let me pull that up again. Oh, apparently I closed it. That was silly. So if we look at this piece, the cuts in there are about a quarter of the side that we're looking at. And if I go back to this, if we were looking at just this side, that's a little bit bigger than the quarter. You'd probably fit 3.5 on this side of the cylinder. But that's how I think I'm going to be doing my arches on my tower. Any questions